teaching cutting techniques to people with vision loss. So when you're teaching kitchen skills, one of the most daunting things can be the idea of cutting something. People who have lost their vision or no longer seeing the way they used to are sometimes very scared about either learning how to cut differently or even just holding a knife. So you always want to start off with something very simple and basic and very safe. So one really cool strategy is using a fork to cut. What? Put a fork in it, it's done. And what happens with the fork is it can become our guide for cutting, and it can also help you make some really nice slices. So we've got a banana on a black cutting board for high contrast. I'm just using a plastic knife and fork, no biggie. And what I'm doing is I'm putting the fork into the banana so that it's facing me, basically. It's facing me, and that way what I can do is with my knife, the back of my knife is tracing up. There's all sorts of techniques here that we'll go over in different videos. But basically just giving a person the idea of slicing down against the fork and then going inside the tongs to use as a guide. And that way, you have banana slices or whatever it is that you're slicing that comes off the fork, and they're exactly the same. Let's do that one more time. So the fork goes into the banana, about halfway, just enough so it gives you something to hold. The person that is doing the cutting is holding the handle of the fork, so even though this is just a plastic knife, you're still nowhere near the blade. You're holding it up in the air or a little bit closer down towards the head of the fork. Again, the knife is being used to kind of trail along, and when you come along the side of the fork, they can just slice straight down and then go inside the tongs. And if they want really thin, they can go inside each one. And then you've got these perfectly sliced. Don't be afraid to use other non-traditional things to start when you start teaching to cut as well. There's lots of things that can be used, like here's a pizza cutter. This is another item if you've got somebody with some motor issues or maybe has a hard time with the up and down motion. And again, you can use your fork just to stabilize whatever it is you're cooking, and then you could really cut a banana pretty nicely, and other things too, other types of fruit. That's a pizza cutter right there. So that has a blade, so you still need to be super careful if you're using this for instruction. That's why everything has a spot. Here is a pie knife. I've used this before, a pie server. That's sometimes very helpful. And then the other thing that I wanted to share is this is a straight up and down kind of, it's used for, I guess, making ridges and pickles or what have you. And I've got a potato here. I'm starting with a flat surface. I've already cut the bottom off so that it's not roly-poly all around. Again, same thing. I've got here now a metal knife because this is kind of like the next level up. This time I'm going to turn my fork the other way so it's vertical to me. And that way it's just really providing a way to hold, for the person to hold and stabilize the object without getting near the blade. And this up and down motion, you can practice just kind of slicing if somebody has a hard time using a traditional knife. Just some ideas. Always remember safety first when you're teaching. Make sure you have memorable placement. Now that we have all these bananas, what are we going to do with them?